We recently took Gus here, which this is what we named 1-4 Sierra Foxtrot. We recently took Gus on a trip to Florida, and it just so happened it worked out pretty good for us to stop at Stearman Field in Kansas, just outside of Wichita, and go to the Aviation Content Creators Awards and meet some YouTube personalities. Martin Pauly, Blanco Lario, the Patey brothers, just plain silly, Brian. I mean, we must have met a ton of great people who you see some of in the video. And my son was able to go there and actually take a flight with Martin Pauly, which you'll see towards the end of the video. And we'll talk about something interesting that happened to a forced landing. We went out one night to try and do some flights and ended up actually having to land prematurely because we had some engine trouble. So we'll talk about that towards the end of the video. Anyhow, all that's coming up. So all the planes are starting to come in, starting to get busier. They're starting to line the grass here with different planes. As the day goes on, we will probably get busier and busier.
It is smooth as silk.
Man, that thing is smooth.
Unbelievable.
What's it like out there, Corey?
It is bumpy. We did a little touch and go on a farmer's field, dirt road.
And this is the amazing detailer that's going to make the Super Viking sparkle.
Super Viking, even more super.
He's going to make the Super Viking super
duper.
Super sparkly.
Super duper Viking.
It's here this morning looking absolutely beautiful. Just sparkling. No more grease up underneath there and exhaust. It's awesome. No more bugs. It's shiny. All right, so to most of you, this means absolutely nothing. But what we're getting ready to do is we are going to watch 310 Pilot come in for a landing. He's finally here in Kansas. One of the bigger YouTube channels for anybody that's into aviation and watches aviation videos. There he is. Now you can introduce us to the Wong Warrior.
All right, well, here she is. She is a 1981 Piper Cherokee Warrior 2. Her name is Sweet Caroline, but she is affectionately known as
So are
the
you a
Wong
Neil
Warrior.
Diamond fan then, or?
My middle name is Caroline.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so I got my private pilot in a 172, and then I did all of my subsequent single engine training in this airplane. So I got my instrument rating, my commercial, single, my CFI, and my double I in this airplane.
But the crazy thing is you're into this 3 years.
3 years.
That's insane. I
Yeah.
thought I was a go-getter.
Yeah,
Yes.
Dan Millican, the Dan Millican.
Wow.
Oh my gosh, is that Christy Wong?
2, I got 1. Wow.
Well, for me, it's about mission. I run a film and video production company and became a pilot mainly because of the drone stuff, by the way. So I looked at it and said, okay, I've got clients all over the country that I need to take a film crew to and carry all the cameras and gear and everything. So that's why I picked the 210. Love the plane. Lola.
Yep, that's
Lola.
her name. Her name is Lola.
Sweet Caroline here.
Sweet Caroline, yep. They're BFFs.
And Lola.
Yeah.
Hanging out.
They got to fly a little bit together today.
We
Not
did.
much, but a little bit.
A little bit.
And when these guys say they bring some camera gear, like, they bring some camera gear. All right, so this guy, that guy right there, him, he's gonna go for a flight with Martin Pauly, because nowadays it's not about the clowns in Hollywood, the kids want to meet the YouTube stars, the people they watch on YouTube. And that's what this guy came here to do, right?
Yep.
Is to go on flights with some of the YouTube people that I've forced him to watch and he's come to love. So he's getting ready to go on a flight with Martin Pauly, which is going to be amazing. So Martin was gracious enough, even though he's trying to get out of here today, he mentioned that he would take Connor for a flight, and Connor really had his heart set on flying into Bonanza. So he has got the little guy set in there, said he's fully loaded and doesn't have a seat available, but as long as Connor gets up there and has a good time, that's amazing. What a guy. Oh wow, we get the low pass, nice. Here it comes. Climb out. Nice touchdown.
He did not have any fun.
No, yeah, I can tell.
He said, no, don't do a flyby, don't do a flyby.
Yeah, but he had an ear-to-ear grin on his face. No fun at all? One word to describe that, what is it? Hashtag quality, right? Martin, thanks a lot. So when we were down in Stearman Field, we went out one night, I think the second night that we were there, we went out with Matt Smithers, who has a channel called Unusual Attitudes. So if you haven't heard of him, check him out. But anyhow, went out for a flight just to do a couple laps in the pattern one night, and we're gonna do a low pass. So we came in and did our low pass and went to climb out and did really great until we lost airspeed. And as soon as we lost airspeed, that's when the, as we're doing our steep climb out, we just kind of lost airspeed, and I thought, oh, okay, so it kind of leveled off. We got about maybe 400 or 500 feet AGL, and we're building no power. So we were doing 110 knots, which is my climb speed. Between 110 and 120 knots should be my climb speed, and we were not climbing at all. Then they call over the radio to us, and they say, hey, you're trailing black smoke, and that's not a good radio call to hear, because you don't know if that's fuel related, you don't know if you're on fire, you don't know if you lost all your oil, you have no idea what in the world is causing all this black smoke. And at that point in time, it was right before that I determined that we had no power. Immediately we start doing checklist, and it was great having Matt Smithers. He's a flight engineer on the Super Guppy, which is interesting in and of itself. So he's helping me troubleshoot things, and we're running down checklists and stuff, checking things like flaps, making sure we didn't leave flaps up, which we never, for a low pass, didn't even have them down. We're checking fuel, we're checking everything, making sure our fuel's not off, just everything we can think of, prop full, full forward, and we're getting no answers. We come around and we couldn't land the first time because there's a big Electra, the one that was actually used in the Amelia Earhart movie, on the runway right in front of us. So we ended up having to make 2 passes, so we couldn't land that time, went back around, and the whole time we're kind of losing altitude just a little bit. Just almost maintaining, but not quite. So we did finally make another pass around, and we're able to get it on the ground. And what we found is that we had a completely clogged air filter, but on the back of in these Lycoming engines, they've got your air filter sits on the back of the motor by the fuel servo, and it's got an alternate air source, a little door that hangs down, so that if both the tubes that come from the front of the airplane right here get plugged that come into the side of the housing, if both those get plugged, it can suck air from the back. Well, that flap had fallen down and basically sucked all the way up against the fuel servo, and so we were getting no air running, and that was causing our black smoke. We were just completely too rich. So Luckily, it didn't end up in anything. I was glad to have Matt Smithers there with me to help me troubleshoot everything. My son was on board, so it was just kind of a freaky moment. Worst landing of my life. So here I am at the ACCAs. I mean, all these people at Stearman Field, they're all practicing their great landings and stuff like that. And here comes Mark Olson and Gus, and we freaking botched that landing. Worst landing since Private Pilot, hands down. I mean, I skidded that thing so bad, my knees were shaking, and it was just a really nerve-wracking experience if you've never had something like that happen. I got it on the ground, and everybody's like, you got it on the ground, that's what matters. But to me, it was like, you know, I'd have felt like the hero if I could have landed it, you know, under pressure and done a nice job. And it was all good right up until the last minute, but I just didn't have the rudder in right, and my knees were limp, and it just didn't turn out good. But anyhow, got on the ground, and the great guys there at Stearman Field, Clemens Aviation, got us hooked up and got us back in the air. Anyhow, that was the most exciting thing that happened on the trip that I wish hadn't happened. If you like what you're seeing, make sure to subscribe, or don't subscribe if you hate what you're seeing. Watch just because you want to see what kind of stupid thing I'm going to say next. I don't really care. As long as you're watching, I'm loving it. So, till next time, you have a good dang day.